unmuted, Carol. Star 6, you said that.
Morning, everybody that's here so far. Asking who's on the phone number 212 ending with 087. You can unmute yourself and tell me who you are.
Carol Weeks.
Oh, hi, Carol. Welcome. All right, we're not ready to start yet, but we will be hopefully pretty soon. I just wanted to make sure
I took a day off, but I wanted to be in with this, so I'm
Oh.
at home.
Okay, okay. All right.
Take notes on that.
Get an email. Wants to get on Zoom. Oh, you do get an email. That's an awful lot to type in. I have to type in all that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But if you give an email, I can copy and paste it next time.
Well, I hope I won't be.
You can copy and paste. Here. Actions is allowed. It's very good. I'm just off.
Do myself.
I don't know how they might as well see if you
Don't talk.
will be fired, right? Off.
Yes, I'd like some water.
There's enough paper there for your notes.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Right on this.
Right in the back of your fridge notes, if you want. Your original. Need more. Right. I'm here though. Only comes to 12. Only coming to 12.
We don't hear anything.
Oh, all right.
think it's not working, Barry. Odd that we don't hear anything.
Oh, that's delicious. It's good that you heard her video again, because she did it herself, so it's
It's 10:35 now.
yeah, she probably did it.
You try to get in via Zoom?
They can't, because there's so much typing.
Yeah, okay.
And you want the fan, you don't want any air.
Bad, Barry. I think we've lost the connection.
No, I don't think so. I was calling on your cell phone, so you get word after a while.
Okay. On the cell phone. Over there.
Maybe. Look like charged?
What?
I thought it was charged, but it doesn't look like.
Better push it, I think.
Push one. Over there, but then uncharged after. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. See what drops. That was very nice. See one more. Yeah.
I can work on it. There it's not. Yeah.
Right. Probably it's working okay because she talked to you and so forth. Yeah, they're just waiting for others.
Thank you for promoting me.
Good morning, everybody. I apologize for the delay, but this is our first Aging Committee meeting of the year on the 7th day of September, 2023. And having, our first meeting as a hybrid meeting, trying to figure out all the ins and outs and, what news has to be done to lead this meeting, as well as, figure out how to get everybody else on board. So we don't have a quorum yet of our committee people here, but we're going to start this meeting anyway, out of respect for everyone's time. So I appreciate all of you coming. So let's do introductions. I know that most of us have been on these meetings together for a while now, but let's just refresh everybody's memories. Okay, so I'm Mary Anderson. I'm the chair of this aging committee. And Joseph, if you could introduce yourself.
Joseph Kalinsky, Assistant Chair. Nice to see everybody.
James.
I'm James Bosley. I don't know if I can be seen, but do you hear my voice? My second term on the Aging Committee. I'm also on Traffic and Transportation. And happy autumn.
Okay, Miriam.
Miriam Rabner, Outreach Coordinator and Community Liaison for MJHS Health Systems, and particularly for MJHS Hospice and Palliative Care.
Lisa. You're muted.
Muted.
Lisa Beth Miller, Outreach and Referral Coordinator at Lighthouse Guild.
You can be seen.
I can't see you.
Oh, you want to see them? Yeah.
I just came back. Is that all we're doing? Just brief introductions with our names or? Yeah.
Yes, for now. Alana. Hi. You're muted.
Alana, Riverstone Senior Life Services.
Thank you. Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. Ashley Carlos, Outreach Social Worker from Neighborhood Shops Elder Justice Program.
Diane.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Diane Ashley. I'm Chief Marketing Communications Officer for MJHS Health System and MJHS Isabella Center for Rehabilitation and Nursing Care.
Dory, I'm sorry, I should have introduced you first.
No problem.
Didn't want to forget
Dory
anybody.
Garcia, Dory Garcia, Executive Director, ARC 16 for Washington Inc., public member of this committee and also part of WICOA.
Julie.
Good morning, everyone. Shuli Gutman. I'm the director of Mariah Senior Center, and I'm also on the board of WICOA.
Toby. You're muted, Toby.
Assistant Vice President. It doesn't look,
Yeah, go.
I don't see myself. Me.
There you go.
Toby.
Toby now.
Toby Weiss, Assistant Vice President. Assistant Vice President of Cultural Diversity, JHS Hospice and Palliative Care.
Okay, thank you. Lilliet.
Good morning, everyone. Liliet Lopez, NY Connects Manhattan and Brooklyn Outreach Specialist.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody? I know that, let's see, Ebenezer left. I've got Tanisha Tanisha Grant is here as well. I'll have to get her promoted. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, so on our agenda, have discussion among committee members and attendees about various programs, resources, outreach, and goals, our goals of the committee for the 23-24 year. So what I'd like to do is hear from the committee members first as to what goals we'd like to set for this year, what we'd like to accomplish, if there are particular items of interest that we need to delve into. So let's do that to start. Guys, anything?
Accessoride.
Hold on a second, Alana. Let me let my committee members speak first.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm saying guys because I've got James and Joseph here. So.
Neither of us have anything hot other than it sounds like Accessoride. I think one thing we need to try to figure out is how these meetings are going to be run effectively with the hybrid model here. So we'll see how it goes today, and then again, maybe we should reflect at the end of today's meeting, just whether this is the best way for things to work. Whether you're hearing us well, or whether we should all just be on Zoom,
Yeah.
and especially if there's no one else here from the public right now, just the three of us in this room. But in terms of specifics, I don't have anything to add right now, so I'm happy to go to.
I think when we get to the budget proposals, that might spark some
Yes, exactly.
ideas of to go forward with some of these issues.
Okay, I know, you know, we'll be doing that next. Among all of the people, the attendees that are here, I'd like to hear if there's anything new or outstanding going on with each of your programs. Yeah, who would like to start? I think, well, I know that, Ilana, you have lots going on in your place. You need some people.
What do you mean? Yes, I'm
Show your
sure.
email. You need people.
Oh,
But
right,
what
right, right. Okay,
Right,
thank
right.
you. I need, yeah, people
Maybe-
are, our consultants are dropping off for various reasons. We need a Tai Chi instructor, we need a computer instructor, a Zumba instructor, but people have responded wonderfully. So the director of the senior center is reaching out to them. I know a lady who's also looking for a bookkeeper. I don't know if she got anybody so far. So.
Okay. Thanks, Alana. Miriam, anything? No?
Specific to say, I'm going to defer to my colleagues. I'm having brickwork done and the noise is terrible and I don't want to speak and disturb all of you.
Okay. Lisa, anything?
Yeah, there's been an increase in our technology programming, so people are being given, there are workshops. There was a wonderful workshop sponsored by some corporation, I'll remember in a second, and you know, a gathering both in person for training, and then there was even some snacks and but there's different courses for technology for people that are learning that have vision impairment. And that's really increasing since that's been sort of one of the main focuses of how we're going to help people. Also, I know that my challenge has been with helping people come to our adult day healthcare program, partly because they have to not have their home health aide that day. And I've been thinking the only way to approach this has been the idea of getting some political support, because the regulations don't allow people, they call it like duplication of services, but in fact, it's people that have vision impairment that are even sometimes newly blind that need to come to a day healthcare program because of medical needs. That's chronic medical conditions that are not quite fully stabilized. So it's really two conditions that require different supports in order for them to get to a program that's at the level of support of adult day healthcare. So my hope is that there can be some kind of lessening of the regulations so that people can have a home health aide, escort them if they're newly blind or blind, and to an adult day healthcare, so they're not alone with a home health aide all the days of their lives, that they are with people where there's a nurse on staff. So any suggestions in that direction would be helpful. And, you know, and the other thing that I think needs sort of political change or regulation change is that we have Guild Care, adult day healthcare, and we also have been trying to integrate care by having them go to their primary care physician, endocrinologist on the third floor. Well, no, they're not allowed. They're not allowed to go to another program while they're in adult day healthcare to get their doctor appointments. So maybe on some level you think, okay, this is duplication of services. We're all kind of buying in duplication of services. You can't do it. but that's not really the case. They're not seeing a primary care physician at an adult day healthcare program. They're not seeing a podiatrist or an endocrinologist at an adult day healthcare program, and they need that. And the whole point of integrating care is to allow the very fragile people to get the care they need. Once they're right there, that's why we have professional specialists to help them. So it's really sort of thrown a wrench in the works of, number one, people getting access, and number two, making sure that these services are being used. So, these are the two issues that I think really need more community support. And I put it out there in case anyone comes upon opportunities to bring it up or would like to talk further about that kind of thing in their own programs. But I do think these are really concerning and also opportunity to help people not keep falling through the cracks, because that's what ends up happening. They can't come to the program, and it's very disappointing. Thank you for the opportunity to say all this. I think it's really important.
Thank you for sharing. Diane, anything happening at Isabella?
Give me one
Since I
second.
left?
Hold on one second. Having technology issues. 1 second. Okay. Nothing unusual happening at Isabella. There's a bit of a spike in Manhattan going on now. We have a very small number of residents with COVID who are on isolation, but largely asymptomatic. And no, I think everything is moving along pretty smoothly.
Is anything additional opening up at this point? I mean, in terms of anything additional programming opening up there, or?
I don't think so yet. I think we're still especially with the fact that we're seeing Upper Manhattan is seeing a spike again, albeit a small blip in it, but starting in August, I believe, the city started reporting blips. So I think, extra caution about doing things that will bring large numbers of people back in. But I think things are running smoothly, and there's nothing to report of specific note at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would just clarify, we're not talking about updates right now. We're talking about goals for the
Programs,
year.
right. And then we're gonna get into our committee stuff shortly, but I wanted to, see if there's anything new from anybody's programming, being we haven't met a couple of months. And Shuli, anything happening with you? No? Oh,
Hi,
sure.
sorry. We're running pretty much as usual here. Constantly looking for new members and new activities. And we do have some problems with our computer teacher as well. We're looking for a new computer teacher, but otherwise it's pretty status quo here.
Okay, thank you. Tanisha, could you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone,
Hey.
I'm Tanisha. Hi, great to be here. Thank you, Agent Committee. My name is Tanisha Grant. I am a newly boarded community board member. I try to attend all the committees, at least, for the first few months to see what's going on and to lend my support. I am a resident of Washington Heights, the lower numbers. I am also the executive director of a community-based organization called Parents Support and Parents New York, and real active in the community and community organizing. It's important to be here because I have a lot of older folks in my community, and we want to see what we can do to advocate for them and get them the services that they need. Thank you.
Fabulous, and welcome to the board. Liliette, anything with you? Anything new in your program?
We have been having vaccine day events We had one in Brooklyn on August 30th. We're gonna have another again in Brooklyn on September 9th, and another one in Manhattan on September 27th. And besides, giving people the choice to get a vaccine, we are also giving out masks and COVID test. And we continue to assist people with benefits, housing applications, Medicaid applications, or it can range from people's needs.
Okay, thank you. Ashley? Ashley, are you able to respond? Ashley Carlos? No? Okay. Richard Allman, would you introduce yourself and welcome?
Thank you. I'm Richard Allman. I'm a Community Board 12 member. I'm a member of the Aging Committee and one other committee. I work for Arkport, Washington, managing one of the Harlem Senior Centers, with Washington Heights and Inwood remain awfully close to my heart. And I think in terms of updates, it's probably appropriate to have Dory do updates first for the whole organization. And if there's anything I can add from our particular center.
Okay. Dory, you're on.
Hi everyone again. So as of now, we are continuing working with Columbia Dental Care Bus. We have them in 2 of our locations, in 146th Street and on 181st once a month. So for those clients that might want to be seen by a dentist that has been hard for them to get to the dentist's office, just refer them to one of the ARC Center, and we'll be happy to send them to see to get them into one of those appointments that we can get for them in the dental care buses that actually comes once a month for half a day in both of our sites at 181st and at 146. That's mostly one of the newest things. Everything else, we're still running transportation. We also doing all the breakfast and lunch. So no big changes in our programs except for those new dental care buses and other buses that come to do different screening in our senior center. I know also in October, we're gonna start doing vaccines for COVID with Ryan Health in both of our sites again, one on 146 and at 181st as well. Those seniors that might be interested in getting those services can come, make an appointment, register with the center, and receive the services.
Great.
May I just add 1 or 2 thoughts there?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Talking about vaccines and COVID. We don't have it scheduled yet, but we're sure hearing and reading a lot about evolving COVID trends, updates. I wouldn't call it fully the return of the virus, but being at a different stage as we go into indoor season. We're trying to schedule an update presentation. And I think maybe that's something that in some ways the Aging Committee should take on to being part of updating the community on COVID trends, impacts, etc. The other screening and health issues that at least we're doing, we're working with the Center for Hearing Communication, which now has a hearing van that, they're tightly scheduled, but they are trying to get out to senior centers, houses of worship, other critical places in the community. They do educate. Actually, for us, they did a 3-part program. They're midway through it. An initial information and education program on hearing issues, hearing devices that may be of use, practices for maximizing our hearing. They follow that up with bringing the van out for a day of screenings, which worked real well. And then for people who in the screenings are identified as having hearing issues, they're bringing the van back for some follow-up appointments for those people. We're midway through that process. The one other thing I want to mention, I think the most fun we're gonna have this month, we're gonna have a seniors back to school. And everyone's doing it with chest out saying it's about time that seniors get a back to school day. We raise these kids, we raise these grandkids, and we deserve a back to school day. So we're doing that on September 15th. It's an excuse to have some fun.
Do they have to wear uniforms?
I think that's optional at this point. The whole thing got started. I happen to have in my office a high school graduation picture because I had been to a reunion earlier this year. Someone else looked at that and the ideas mushroomed from there. The seniors could bring, pictures that they had from school days. We're asking people
I have,
to do, if they have a song or a performance that they remember from school days, to do that. And Dory is putting together an outrageous swag bag that'll go with that.
sounds like a lot of fun. I remember, I have actually on my bookcase at home, I have two pictures from I have one from the graduation, and then I have one from our 10-year reunion with
I'm not telling you
a
what
tad
meeting
smaller
it
group,
was,
but
it was more than 10
it's
years.
interesting, yeah.
Other than that, it's September 15th. Newcomers, welcome.
Send me the information on all the things you talked, COVID, the hearing ban, the back to school. That sounds like a lot of fun. Might even like, if I can get over there, like to come and just sit as an observer. Sure, it'll be a blast. Anyone else have anything? I think everybody's had a chance to contribute at this point. So I'd like to move on to, I'm sorry, Toby. Oh, okay.
Toby.
Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
walking from one meeting to another. Okay. So one of the things that we've been involved with recently came about by visiting a patient in the Heights where somebody was extremely, extremely hard of hearing. And it creates an enormous amount of conflict and tension between this patient and the patients. And we went into some deep research mode, and we found an organization that actually comes into people's homes and gives audiology tests and can fit them with hearing aids. And I think that might be a very opportune type of service to be able to offer to others in similar situations. What we realized was it's not just that a person becomes more isolated because they can't hear. It creates tension within the family unit, and it creates distancing between the care providers and the patient, because it's frustrating when they don't hear and they don't. So if they're having that type of a presentation, we're going to help facilitate it. The other thing that I'm wondering if anybody has experience with, and maybe it's something that could benefit others, the Holocaust survivor population is dying out, as we all know. Governor Hochul allocated $2.6 or $2.7 million for Holocaust survivors from multiple different resources that might be useful. I've been trying very hard to speak with the liaison from her office and with the office itself to see how we could access some of those funds. If anyone in this group has been able to access any of those funds or is interested, then maybe we could create some sort of opportunity to collaborate and try to get help in that direction. The last thing that I'll say is we'll be giving some presentations for the Isabella Norks. I'll be giving a presentation for the staff on how to understand the difference between hospice and palliative care, and how, as case managers and people involved in the community, you can identify when somebody's situation is declining, where they may be, they may benefit from either home-based palliative care or hospice. So I just throw that out. If there's any other organizations that feel this type of education would be beneficial, we'd be happy to engage with you.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. So I appreciate everyone giving their feedback. And I'd like to move on now for some goals, setting some goals for the committee for this upcoming year. One of the things I always think about is how to get seniors from the community involved in attendance at these meetings. I actually spoke to someone in the park over the weekend, and she said she was going to try to come to the meeting this morning, but she's not here. So that bit of outreach didn't work for the moment anyway, but I will certainly continue to pursue her. She has a lot of concerns about things in the neighborhood and wants to attend actually a couple of committees. So I told her she was certainly welcome to come to this one as well. So I'll keep plugging away. But I don't know if anyone else has any other ideas or suggestions or for goals that we'd like to accomplish this year.
I think one of two things. One of the things that Richard mentioned specifically to ARC, I think is for us as well, that we should continue seeing our committee as a provider of information to the aging community, but as things continue within COVID-19. I think that's a goal of ours.
Yeah, I'd take that even further on this one. On COVID, I think we should be moving the board. Maybe we should come out of here with a resolution today that we can take to the board and say, this is what needs to be done over the next 2 months to educate the community or something like that.
I wasn't being ambitious. I was saying, as we have been doing in the last few years, it needs to continue this year. It needs to be on our agenda.
I think we're on the same track.
Mary, is there any way that the people speaking can be closer to the microphone? I'm having a hard time. I don't think I'm the only one, but I might be hearing the content and I'm really wanting to.
Okay, Ebenezer?
No, the answer is not really.
Oh, when you just spoke, I heard you clearly.
Okay, fine. So we need to speak louder.
So yes, there we go. Something
Okay.
simple. Okay, thank you. Louder. Good.
Oh,
I can't hear whoever is speaking now.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine,
well,
okay, fine.
it's
Okay.
trying to figure out how to accomplish this.
While you're working on that, I have a thought, Mary. I really appreciate you bringing up that recruiting effort that you did over the weekend in that casual moment. I do wonder if maybe one of the goals for any community board is to be able to have sort of consistent outreach to get people more involved, because in all the nonprofits I'm involved in, outreach is like the last thing people get to, or like it's really difficult to recruit new board members for nonprofit work because it's volunteering. And I think it's something that is a very serious civic concern, and that I'm underscoring that I agree with your efforts, do it on the weekends too, but that maybe every meeting can have a consistent effort toward what are we doing about recruiting, sharing, educating people? What is our process? How is it going? Because I think, I mean, you probably do this already, but I do think like one of the things that the Community Board 7 did was we've been doing these wonderful things actually based on neighborhood shop presentation we did. It was 6 minutes of each community-based organization doing a presentation within a 2-hour Zoom meeting. And it was a wonderful thing, first done that I got the model and I passed it along to Community Board 7. And it was really like, I don't know, like 200 people showed up. It was virtual. It was 6 minutes of different community-based organizations. And it was rehearsed before so that everybody kind of knew. And it was really effective in just kind of getting the word out there to a lot of people. Then there was a transcript of all the of the proceedings and a video put on their website. So I'm just wondering if anything like that is something to sort of pick up the baton and start really rolling up the sleeves of reaching out to people. I think it's a real uphill climb. That's why I'm speaking out about it, because I hear the sincerity of your efforts, Mary, and I know that it's not just you. It's a hard thing to engage people. And even for that meeting, we had to make a special effort to say, if you'd like to join us in our efforts at Community Board 7, here's the phone number, here's the contact person. You know, it's like really about communicating more about the needs of the organization and the purpose of engaging and educating. I hope that's useful.
Thank you. Yes, and I know that, excuse me, one second, James. Ebenezer, could you promote Oshaliki Sepulveda? Some participant list just joined. James, go ahead.
I'm not on any social media platforms anymore. I'm happy about that, but is this something that we are ignoring? Is there a platform that could help us disseminate information that we get? We get so much great information from our guests, and then we say, this is great information. I don't feel like we're really getting it out to the broader community. Is some social media platform out there that you think our community members, our aged community members might use, or is that like an alley that they don't normally go down anyway? It's a question.
That is a question, and I know that a lot of the seniors in the community are not comfortable using, you know, computers even, you know, although in the senior centers has been more of an effort, I think, and they're learning more about them. It doesn't mean they're comfortable with it, you know, and you know, that presents an issue because, you know, it's the day of the computers and social media, and if you're not comfortable getting on, you know, joining these things and finding information, or know how to Google something, or, you know, look up information on the computer, it's really hard.
I know that a lot of grandparents on Facebook, because that's how they keep in touch with family. You know, that separated on other areas, and you know, they want to see pictures of their grandkids. They go to Facebook now. So
right.
I think there are people using social media. I don't know how we go about setting it up. Like, I'm not a social media person, but I'm wondering if who can we go to find out if whether it's worth investigating some kind of social media outreach, and get people more involved in coming, perhaps, if they get to see more of us.
Yes.
I'm just going to respond partly to that. The board has an IT task force, which is more an IT person than a task force at this point. But I think that would probably be a good place, that with the executive committee. Our board chair is pretty savvy in that direction and may be able to provide some guidance. And a question also to Ebenezer. Are there any resources offered through the borough president's office or anything that might be able to enhance our social media communications?
I would like to jump in there a little bit, my thought is that was exactly what I was thinking, is to piggyback on some of the resources through the elected officials, because actually the second part of these community organization presentations is coming up. CB7 is going to be doing, and I'm just sharing best practices because I think it could be useful to CB12, but there'll be presentations by elected officials coming up where they get 6 minutes each as well. I think it's a wonderful model. And also, I do think piggybacking on some of the IT support of our elected officials has been a big part of how we've gotten the CB7 Senior Task Force to create these events. Of course, you know, it's really a big push from Roberta Seamer connecting people. But I think that it's sort of a, even though that many of the elders are not comfortable with Zoom, their caregivers may, or their senior center may, and having a hybrid model is also very significantly helpful, where people can gather in senior centers and be part of it, so that they can then get the information, and then the information is all shared in the video that is put on the website for the Community Board 7 or 12 in this case. And I think some of these things, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We have to sort of build on best practices. And I hope it's useful that I shared this, because, you know, it is a big problem getting elders engaged through Zoom. And yet there were 200 people that showed up, and the theme was thriving as we age. What do you need, and who can help you with it? And I think that that was a really clear direction for people's attention. It was promoted through all the community organizations, and I don't know, 200 is a nice number.
Thank you for that information, Lisa. I think that's important. One of the things that we used to do, and we used to, you know, before COVID, is that we were going to the senior centers one each month to engage more of the seniors in the community that way. The problem with this hybrid model is that the centers have to have excellent Wi-Fi ability in order to be able to do this. So, you know,
some of them do. I don't
Right.
know, excellent, but they have adequate. I've been
Right.
doing presentations throughout COVID for centers that gathered both hybrid and but individual Zooms. And I think it's a real opportunity that silver lining of COVID, of course. How do you find a silver lining for COVID? It's almost absurd. But part of it is that our individual therapy experience, people can have phone sessions now because of COVID, and also this Zoom contact. I know a lot of people connecting to a lot of information, even if it's not the elders themselves, but their caregivers or their senior center, or somebody can open the window and get access. And then if there's a video of it, which is easy with Zoom, it can be posted to the CB12 website of these are the presentations. And sometimes it helps to have an elected official office, because they have community liaisons that are specifically staffed to help people with these things. And they have lots of staffing there to help their constituents. And I think piggybacking with their resources and know-how could really be useful.
Thanks, Lisa. Richard?
First, just an amen to that for senior centers as a vehicle for communication. I know we still receive quite a few Zoom programs, though not as much as we would have a year ago. This is somewhat of a shift back to in person, but that asset is still there. The other, Mary, suggestion that I wanted to make is that you have a conversation with people at the medical center about this. As long as it's health information that we're trying to get out, and that touches everything on COVID, I'm betting they'd be willing to put some resources into how to get this word out into places in the community that it's. Now, they may be able both to generate content and provide people with the capacity around social media and other communication skills to help that.
Thank you. Good suggestion. Anyone else?
Wait a minute, let me ask
hold
one
on.
other question.
Okay.
Yosef, would there be any resources that'd be appropriate within yeshiva to use, to connect with in that same sort of way?
Yes, I'm happy to.
The two should.
One other thought, just be brief. Senior centers are places where people go to sort of relax and kick back. And people are in the point of their life where they want to relax and kick back a little bit with other people. That may not be the point in their life in which they want to get involved in taking effort for the community. It may be a different stage of life. So I think it's still important to keep targeting other activity centers besides senior centers that can engage people that have maybe retired, but not at that point of senior center visitors, that are still active and volunteering in other social service places or churches where people are saying, I want to have more activity opportunities in my community. So maybe religious centers also. So I think opening up our thinking about that would be helpful.
Might even be a possibility with schools or youth groups over, if you talked to your grandmother today.
Mhm.
I mean, that's usually who seniors' best tech advice comes from.
I love that.
If I may just jump in, Community Board 8 in the Bronx has fused the youth committee with the aging committee. And in doing so is creating a lot of intergenerational opportunities for both groups to be more involved and to share, host, and attend activities.
That's such a wonderful thing to remember. Young people are looking for something to do that's positive, and maybe that's a whole new population to start reaching out to for volunteers to help the seniors. And maybe community service through the social workers in schools, you know, to get community board membership and support as one of the community service volunteer opportunities that they can earn their community service credits for.
Good point. Anyone else? James? Sounds like you.
Oh, good idea.
Right. You know, the one thing I've been thinking about too is I am a member of the Seniors Aim High at the Armory new exercise group that's now a year old. And we have a half hour at the end, because the exercise part is from 10 to 11, from 11 to 11:30. We have a presentation, and we've had presentations from doctors at the hospital about various and sundry ailments or issues that seniors have. And perhaps we can consider doing some kind of a presentation during that half hour on occasion. I'm sure they'd be wide open to it because they're always trying to figure out, you know, what the next presentations are going to be. So that's another thought. I can talk to them about that.
Mary, one slightly ornery suggestion. All of this is fantastic on communication, but the discussion started from how do we get word out on COVID over the next couple months? How do we keep from getting back into a major crisis? You know, we're going to backslide some, avoiding the level of crisis that it could get to.
Exactly.
Well, I wonder if there's any kind of community PSA, public service announcements being put out on New York One saying, keep masking, it's not over, or something, you know, simple like that. Because I know I've had to say that to individuals. I'm still masking as an individual therapist in my private practice. I also still mask with people. And it takes a certain courage to stand up and say, I'm still masking. You know, some people are just, you know, really pretending it's over, and it doesn't work.
Right. And also, you know, following up with immunizations too, you know. So flu season's going to be here soon too. So we have the flu and COVID to worry about.
Well, underscoring the comment that that more needs to be said about that, Mary, your presentation half hour, I just wanted to first say maybe there's more to be said about COVID for that presentation half hour, something to think about. But also, I just want to say that in the warm up to a more community event with like 6 minutes things or something, I would be very happy to do a Lighthouse Guild presentation to share information about vision loss and keeping your eyes healthy and things like that, if that would be helpful. And that would be maybe a good warm-up process to something that's a little more complex to organize, like multiple organizations.
Okay. All right, so want to talk about the budget. I think that we have to, by next month, work on our budget requests. So I want to just review what we had. I know that the members of the public don't have this information at hand, but
Expense or capital first?
both. We'll do both. I've got capital first.
Expense one, what I was surprised on the expense one was how we ranked number 3. The board ranked number 4 overall.
Right.
That was just surprising to me.
Yeah.
Meaning, we ranked number 1, the board ranked as 30. We ranked as number 3, the board. So either we need to reassess what we're thinking, or we look at the expense.
You need one?
Could you post
No, Ebenezer.
that listing, or is that confidential?
I'm sorry?
I don't know. Ebenezer, are we able to post this? And how?
After the meeting?
Yeah. We could just read off to you. It's only 5 items.
Yeah.
And 3 out of the 5 are in process already. So, should I continue speaking? Is that okay? So on the expense side, there are 5 items from last year. The first one was funding for free Wi-Fi access for seniors in CV12.
Right.
The second was increased access and at-risk to healthy, culturally appropriate food for seniors with medical needs. The third was increased expansion of the program of expand in-home services for elderly persons. Funding to provide affordable home care, including sliding scale reimbursements. The fourth was increased funding for senior transportation programs by restoring prior city council funding, expanding access and outreach. So those last 3, numbers 2, 3, and 4, have a number next to them, which means that they've begun that process, I believe. Is that correct? On the expense.
Yeah. It means that doesn't mean that, yeah, it means that they are aware of it. Doesn't mean they approved it.
Would be a vote on that?
Because if you look at the answers, okay, if you look at the answers to what they did, they're saying, funding is not available at this time, or blah, blah, blah.
So we should
That we have to
still
look.
continue.
So we still need to, it's not,
Okay, and then the 5th one was increase OCPS funding for replacement furnishings in the senior centers as needed.
Right.
That's pretty broad, that last one.
True. But,
Is there anything on the expense side, do we need to add something that's not on this list? Would be the time to do so now.
and we don't need to complete this today. We can talk about it we will need to complete it at our October meeting. So if people want to think about things, that want to be changed or added, we can do that. We still have time. Okay.
I think we need to figure out how to educate the rest of the board.
Can't hear you, Richard. I'm sorry.
I think we need to figure out how to educate the rest of the board.
I think, and looking at our number 1 in the expense budget, where the board put that as 30, funding for free Wi-Fi access for seniors in CB12.
Mhm.
There's a big discussion about these towers that are going up, which are supposed to increase Wi-Fi and internet access to everyone in the community. But
That's the expense.
towers themselves are a lot of disputes about them, whether they're healthy or not, whether it puts them too close to schools, and senior centers. So that's, I think, might be the reason why the board large put that one so low, because that is something that's still debated on what to do about these towers and plans of bringing it up around the neighborhood next year. Is anybody else aware? I know I'm on the Traffic and Transportation Committee, and that's something that we have talked about. And I think also land use as well is talking about the placement of the new towers that are going to be going on.
Any other thoughts?
Anisha put in the chat that she would like to speak.
It's okay. I put my comment in the chat. My hand got overlooked. So it was about the last thing about the
Yeah.
masking and stuff.
Okay, great. Yep.
Expense first.
Okay, so Ebenezer has screen shared the expense budget, so everyone can look at that.
Ready to move on to the capital?
Any other comments on the expense budget? Okay, let's move on to the capital. Okay. Thank you, Ebenezer. So everyone can see this now. We have system-wide upgrade of CB12M area to improve access to connectivity and Wi-Fi. The second one, renovate as necessary, specifically Star Senior Center and Rain Edward Senior Center to comply with safety, ADA, and DFTA regulations. And the third, provide funding to construct affordable, accessible senior housing. I will have to check with the Star Senior Center and with Rain also. I know that Rain is still not ADA accessible. I don't know about safety regulations. I'll double check with a lady too from the Star Senior Center before we make any decisions about that one. And provide funding to construct affordable, accessible senior housing is the third one. And I think that certainly needs to stay.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anyone else have any comments about that, about the capital budget? All right. So come next month with some real thoughts so that we can finalize our requests at our next meeting. Sorry?
Well, we'll think about it and get back next month, I think. like-
Exactly.
Next on the agenda is future speakers.
Well, we want to. We want to certainly get some update on COVID.
What?
Go ahead.
You just said about 2/3 of what I was gonna say, so I'll just say the remaining third. Let's try to do that for October, and let's try to figure out how to get media for that meeting.
How to get,
Media,
okay.
minimally Manhattan Times. but,
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I probably can get
Uh,
Manhattan Times.
um,
I should be able to get also, it's that other one I get stuff about,
Who's gonna present though? We have to figure that out.
yeah, there's two.
I'd say it's approach, first step is approach the medical center. And then go out from there if that doesn't yield what's needed. I think it would be good if we were able to do that as a bilingual presentation and bilingual media. Or multilingual, but there are two languages I think of first.
Great.
Okay, I'll get working on that. Any thoughts for future presentations at this point? Or something to think about? Yes, no, maybe, no. Okay. Announcements, well, old business, new business. We've probably incorporated a lot of that into our other discussions, I think. You have some,
Mary, I'm going to be the troublemaker here with a new business item,
okay.
which is to review the time of this meeting. I think there are a lot of people this will, I personally found it difficult to make a daytime meeting this time around. I guess I had the habit 4 years ago, but it sure is hard to get back to the habit.
What are you suggesting instead?
Get into the cycle of evening meetings. I'm guessing the folks who are on Zoom love this as I did when I was doing it on Zoom, but it was really hard to get here this morning.
I agree. So I wholeheartedly, if this is on Zoom, I prefer the 10:30. If we have to come in person, it makes it harder.
Mary, would you explore at the executive committee whether there's any potential for making an exception for daytime meetings on how people attend? I don't think so, because there's been either a city or state resolution on that, but
Right. no,
it's worth asking.
I'll ask, but I know the answer.
I know participants in person either. I think that supports the argument that what are we gaining by sitting in this room? The participants would hear what we're saying better if this wasn't hybrid and having echoes and everything at the same time.
Exactly.
So it's actually deteriorating the setting of the meeting itself by coming in. Now, if we had 20 people in the room, okay, so we have to come here, I understand, but there's no one in the room.
No. Just the fact that we have so many more people on Zoom than are sitting here tells you
This is what they
what we
want.
should be doing.
I'm here. I'll say it openly. I'm here because it's mandatory as a board member, but it isn't working very well.
I have a 12 o'clock meeting I have to get back to, and I can't just close my computer and be there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's raise it.
And at this point, I'm having difficulty getting here too, because,
Okay.
you know,
What would happen if none of us showed up?
Then you don't have to meet.
right.
That's the default answer.
No, we have a meeting, we just don't have quorum. So unless we have a resolution.
We can, right,
What is it to
exactly.
have a meeting without quorum?
Right,
Resolution.
right.
It doesn't exist?
Tree fall
One
through
minute,
cars.
to have voting in person.
Now, the variants that have been added to are disabled. You need to certify yourself that you are disabled and you can be remote and count as a quarter. Yes.
Ebenezer, I was told there's also an exemption in there for caregiving. Do you know how that's interpreted? I mean, I've been thinking that as someone who operates a senior center, I'm doing caregiving. But I haven't had a chance to explore that.
Had a conference with the former president council, and she was telling us that somebody can be excused for caregiving. I said, you have children, a child that you can attend, or someone in your family was sick, you need to stay. But that is not a permanent one. You can count for 1 or 2 times. That's why the form that we sent out, we said how long it's gonna be. But it's not gonna be perpetual forever. That's excuse as a caregiver. It's a lot of interpretation, and we need to, you know, I don't want to say a lot of interpretation. We need to be interpreted and narrow down what it would be. Certain disability, that's one of the examples it was good there. If you have an accident and you have a broken bone, or leg, arm, etc. Yes, you have a disability, but it's not forever. But in the form that we sent out, it's two choices. One is permanent disability and the other one a temporary one. And we need to find out and define that. I think the executive next week, we should be fleshing out that, and that resolution needs to be ratified at the general meeting this month, and this interpretation can be fleshed out and we will clarify.
Yeah, if you would raise within the context of that, whether providing critical social services for vulnerable senior or youth qualifies under the caregiving exemption. Would you ask?
We can,
That's all.
please send me all the questions, so we can, you're welcome to participate in the next executive meeting.
The last thing I need is another meeting.
You are not part of the executive committee.
And now he understands.
So you can.
You can join.
You can join the meeting and or send it to me and make sure.
Remote.
I'll do something like that. I'll probably send it to both you and Kathy.
But also anyone that is not present, it's important that is listening to this conversation can send me a question, particular disability, yes or no, we can try to find out and define.
Yeah, because I mean,
Complicated. I gotta confess something to you. After the meeting with the general counsel, everybody was confused.
Probably including the general counsel.
right. Okay, announcements? Do any of you have any announcements? Anybody?
Earlier.
Sorry?
We did some of this earlier.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to let people know that you may or may not be aware of, is that the nurse practitioner group at Columbia are stopping the in-home part of that practice. That is ending. I'm not sure why, because I haven't spoken. I was hoping that Marie Garcon would be on at the meeting today to explain that. But the folks in the senior centers and, places like at Isabella and the Y that have people, the social workers have people at home that been getting care from them, have to find alternative arrangements for them. So that's a big issue. Like I said, I don't know why the program is closing. I haven't had a chance to catch up with that information yet, but I will.
Mary, have they offered you an alternative? Usually if they're closing a program, they have to offer you some sort of alternative or transition of care.
I don't know. I have to find that out.
Okay, I don't want to get into your personal stuff too much, but
No.
that's sort of required usually, so they may be, whether or not you like their suggestions is aside, they should be offering you some sort of recommendation on continuation of care.
Right, exactly. The other thing is that, I heard from Maria Luna, who's going to come to the meeting, who was unable, but she said there's no update. She is on the, committee for the city DIFTA. But she said there were no updates because they did not meet during the summer, but she's planning on coming to the meetings regularly, even though she's not a board member anymore. She resigned from the board. Or she didn't reapply. So there's a difference, I guess. Anyway.
Hold on one second. Don't take it personally. Maria Luna is stepping down from almost every board that I attend. It is not just this board. She's pulling back.
No, I know it's not personally, we spoke at length. I mean, she's just exhausted, you know, she's been on every board that there is in the whole city. for everything.
Understood, understood.
She's, you know,
Yeah, very sad.
her health is catching up with her health issues, I should say. You know, but anyway, what else? The Alzheimer's walks will be ongoing through October, encouraging everyone to, if they wish, to take part in those walks. There are all different venues. I used to do the walk with Isabella. The Alzheimer's Association, Caring Kind, all of these folks are reaching out. And that's about all I have. Our next meeting will be October 5th at 10:30 a.m. And we will finalize the budget at that meeting. Capital expense. And until then, I have my work cut out for me.
I do have one request, Maria. I don't know if it's possible or if everybody has it and I'm just behind the 8 ball on it. So if so, I apologize. Can somebody release the dates for the remainder of the 23 and 24 season? So we can lock our calendars.
For the age.
Excuse me, a frog just moved into my throat. I don't have anything on my calendar for the rest of the year or into next year, and I don't know if anybody else is in a similar situation. But I do find it helpful at this time of year to update.
It's typically the first Thursday of the month, but it should also be on the CB12 website, the calendar for the whole year.
Okay, but it's not like somebody sends out an invite that has all of the dates on it, so it automatically.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. So we are adjourning this meeting at 11:55 a.m. Thank you, everybody.
Seconded.